Okay, we're back. Hope you were able to do the last section easily. If not, please send me write your questions in discussion. I should be able to get a notification from Canvas saying that you've written something in there. I will get back to you as soon as possible. So we're going to move on to how to find the amplitude, period, and frequency from an equation. So we're going to talk about that. We'll add the midline in a little bit. So we're just going to talk about amplitude, period, and frequency for right now. So this works for sine or cosine. So I could have the equation y equals a cosine of bx also. So it works for sine and cosine. So I just want you to be aware of that. My amplitude will always be a. So my amplitude is always a. Okay, so right here and right here. That's where my amplitude is. So if I'm looking at an equation, it's the number in front of sine or cosine. My period is 2 pi divided by b. So here's where I find b. It's the number in front of x. Okay, so my period is, remember, the period is how far it is between one peak to another. So normally, if I have the equation y equals sine of x, my period is 2 pi. So I'm just going to take whatever that number is in front of x and divide 2 pi by that, and that's what my period is. And then my frequency is just the absolute value of b. So that means if I've got a negative b, the frequency is always positive, basically, is what it's telling you. Okay, so my frequency is always positive. So now we're going to look at some equations and find this information. Here we go. So here we go. So the easiest one is the amplitude. The amplitude is the number. Amplitude is the number that is in front of the sine or cosine. So my amplitude here is 3. And then my period is 2 pi divided by this number. 2 pi divided by a half. So how do I divide fractions? Well, I take 2 pi over 1 times 2 over 1, which equals 4 pi. Correct? You flip the second one and multiply. That's how we divide fractions. And then my frequency is whatever this number is. So whatever this is here, so my frequency is 1/2. That's it. So we're going to go on to the next one and do the same thing all over again. Okay, so what is my amplitude? Well, my amplitude's the number in front, so that would be 1/2. My period is 2 pi divided by b, and b is 3, so I don't even have to do any figuring on this one. It's just 2 pi divided by 3. And then my amplitude is, my frequency is just 3. So I have 2 pi divided by 3's in 2 pi. So my frequency is 3. That's it. Okay, I think we have one more to go. Oh, no, we got 2 more. Sorry, I just wanted to check. Here we go. So what is my amplitude this time? How many sines do I have? What's the number out here? Well, I have 1. It's not 0, because if I had 0, 0 times anything is 0, so I wouldn't have a function. So I have 1 sine of 2 pi over 3x. Yes? Okay, so my period is 2 pi divided by 2 pi over 3. So I have to simplify that. So that equals 2 pi over 1 times 3 over 2 pi. Well, the 2 pi's make a 1, and I get left with 3. So I have a period of 3, which makes it a little harder to graph, but we can figure that out. Okay, and we're probably going to do graphing on Delta Math. I'm going to show you the basics of it. Delta Math will work on the graphing on Delta Math. So I'll show you how that works. My frequency is just 2 pi over 3. Okay? So that means we don't have a complete revelation in 2 pi. We have 2/3 of a 2 pi over 3 of a revelation. Okay? So here we go. We're moving on. And I'm pretty sure this is the last one. More complicated as we go along, right? Okay, so my period, my amplitude is the number in front, which is 1/4. My period is 2 pi divided by b, which is pi over 6. So I get 2 pi over 1 times 6 over pi. Well, I have a pi on top and a pi on bottom, so I get equal to 12. And my frequency is just pi over 6. Okay, so the hardest thing to find on this is really the period, especially if it's a fraction, because I have to do a little bit of math. Hopefully that you guys can get this done. Again, if you have any questions, make sure you ask specific questions in the look, my brain is going in the discussion portion of this lesson, and I will get back to you. You should be able to go in and out of the Nearpod as needed. If not, let me know, please. But I think you can come in and out and pick up where you started off at. Thank you. I will be back with the next one the last one in just one moment.